Hey everyone, Dave here, December 1773. With me as always is Ryan. This is episode 120 of the weekly show, all of the week's hottest topics with a twist. Don't worry everybody, we're recording, I'm sure of it. Ryan, let's just get into this. We need everyone, like, follow, comment, subscribe, all the bullshit. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Ryan's mad. I'm interested in hearing how mad Ryan is. Red wave, red, no wave, whatever you want to call it. Ryan, what happened?
What do you mean, David? It was
right, what happened? Where was the
victory? It was a victory for Republicans.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
because what happened was everyone expected the big red wave. The Senate was going to go 59 seats. They were going to have House was going to be a total wrap. It was going to be a setup for 2024. It's going to be Republicans running, just taking off with it. Biden's on Facebook. He is just so excited that this is the fewest amount of seats a president has ever lost his party during a midterm. Do you know that, Ryan? The fewest ever. The fewest seats his party has lost during a midterm election. It sounds like there was no red wave, Ryan.
It's crazy he knew that before all the votes were officially counted in certain states, but who's counting? Them?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they've been counted for days now.
Look, David.
We're only 75 days past the election. I'm sure they got them counted at this point.
The victories that happened are a build-up for 2024.
Go. Continue. I don't buy this. I'm hearing people backtrack on this, and I don't buy this line.
Look,
I'm gonna give it to you. Go.
But we're not. There's no backtracking because it's true.
I don't buy this.
Look, how long ago did Biden say that you're voting on democracy?
Was that during the? That wasn't during the big scary red speech, was it?
No, I was getting there, but thanks for referencing that. So, that's just certain instances in between. Not to mention the entire time we've been seeing this attack on right-wing candidates, even though Trump has been surging in the polls. None of it's about Trump, but we're seeing it. Excuse me. We've been seeing this a lot lately, like the GOP and the Trump. I've seen polls that were reflecting how basically Mitch McConnell allowed the GOP to lose. There is no red wave. Ben Shapiro got on there and said, there's no red wave. There's never been a red wave. I never thought that there would be a red wave. But you know what, Ben?
That's a surprisingly decent Ben Shapiro impression.
Listen, David. I've referenced politics my entire life. And I've read these books. I have thousands of volumes that I had to get rid of because I transported them to Florida because I thought I could stay in California, then Tennessee, and then I moved.
You do make him slightly effeminate, though.
He's he could probably beat me up because he works out, but he's kind of effeminate. I like Ben Shapiro a lot. I'm not bust his balls for no reason. I'm just going to say.
I'd put money on Ryan for the record, unless Ben Shapiro hits him with his violin.
I am taller than he is.
You got reach advantage for sure.
All the same, it's not that I don't agree with you people because you guys are our orienters to the main vein of these politics, but we got to keep in mind that they've been running with the idea that we're dealing with the death of democracy and that it's not Joe Biden's fault that everything's more expensive.
Well, that's what I'm most because it seems like Democrats got off the hook for what has been in my lifetime arguably the worst economy I've ever seen, and this is considering we went through the Great Recession of 2008, right, which was all Bush's fault.
Well, Dave, they said we're not in a recession. If we were in a recession, I think you would see the red wave. You think the actual red wave that people are thinking of is there? It's been there. I looked at every place a Democrat lost. It was all winnable. Zeldin lost. Do you know how many people live in New York State? People say New York State's a fucking gone, forgotten state.
10 to 14 million?
It's 19.8 million as of 2019.
Is it that high?
Yes. Okay. And in the election, there was only roughly 5 to 6 million people that voted. Okay. So we're talking, like a fifth of the population? He only lost by 400 or 600,000 votes, somewhere in there. It's not a lot of votes.
Was it that tight in New York?
If you look at the map, New York's a red state. Where does he lose? In all the cities. No shit. We're like we heard the Democratic elected president that's supposed to be the great uniter say in a speech in front of Independence Hall, where they crafted the very documents that our constitutional republic is supposed to be rested on.
Right. This is Scary Red speech that you're referring to.
Scary Red speech, and he says that we're voting along, like, in the future, the midterms. They knew the midterms were coming. This was in July, on July 4th, if I'm not mistaken. But they knew the midterms are coming. They knew everything else. They're gonna get off scot-free on the economy because there's no real indicative. I mean, we're only talking about Republicans winning on the fact that they're either Trump-backed candidates or that crime is really skyrocketed in their economy, in their local economy and stuff, and all their things going on. The fallout of the recession has yet to happen. We've shown you on this program, let alone all these other way smarter people than us, have said it's coming, it's here, just buy this. But the point is, the red wave is there. They have pushed civil war on our people. And how the fuck do you think they're going to vote when half of them feel disenfranchised? We've seen statistically that half the country doesn't believe the other half of the country. We see the divide in America. What wave are you waiting for? There's no wave. There's no fucking wave. It's here. The wave is here. We've seen it. We've seen the vote. You can look. 400,000 people in the state of New York that voted. Not saying that's indicative of all new, but right there, that's negligible. When there's 10 million people that didn't fucking vote, I can sway 400,000 people if YouTube would let me. Consider I could sway a New Zealand election halfway around the globe. But my point still stands. The red wave is there. The numbers are there. Not that Republicans were going to wave. I don't think people really thought Republicans were going to be able to win a big election when Donald Trump couldn't win it.
Yeah, people absolutely thought there was going to be a massive change. That's why the wave is disappointing.
It's not
They still technically won. Republicans still technically won a bunch of seats.
Yes, and now it's the battle for 2024. And if like the only wave you're going to see is in a presidential election. That's the only real wave. That's the wave that won Trump in 2016. I don't understand. I know why they're saying it. They're correct. They were expecting like serious seats to flip, but we're talking about how half of the country has been told, at least if you look at the 2020 election, that half the country, at least the way they think, those MAGA Republicans, those people are dangerous to democracy. And we're seeing it in the polling data that the people that even live in those areas don't believe what the other people on the other side of an imaginary line that doesn't matter apparently think.
Here's my problem though. Here's my problem. Not only did it seem like maybe the red wave was oversold, and maybe they didn't know. I don't know. Maybe they knew the whole time it was going to be this close, and they tried to make it seem like it wasn't, or maybe it was supposed to be big and it wasn't as big as it was supposed to be. It was technically a win for Republicans. If everyone went into the election thinking, this is going to be tight races, and Republicans had the performance they had, people would think, wow, Republicans did really well. But everyone expected, the expectations were too high. Everyone expected, Jesus, the Republicans are just going to run away and they're going to load up on seats and it's going to be a fucking total takeover. We're going to have 30 Republican governors. And we're going to have 220 fucking people in the House. And we're going to have 57 people in the Senate. And then when that doesn't happen, it seems like it's a disappointment. So even though technically, but my bigger issue is heading into 2024. And now granted, 2 years is an eternity in politics. 2 years is fucking forever. I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
Especially with record high inflation, David.
Sure. And there's a lot of things we don't know yet. We don't know who the Republican nominee will be. We don't honestly know who the Democratic nominee is going to be. We don't know what the economy is going to look like. But here's my problem. If right now, in my opinion, from just from being an adult and going to the store and buying things like milk and bread and filling your car up with gas, day to day, Americans have to be feeling it, whether or not the government officially declares it a recession or not. People have to be like, holy shit, this is ridiculous. My milk is $6. I had to spend $20 just to get to the store. I gotta go to work, and I don't know if I can afford to go to work because it costs me $100 a fucking week to fill up on gas. If the economy is that bad now, even if it stabilizes and maybe gets slightly better, and I don't suspect it will get greatly better. What's to make us think they can't overcome that in 2024? I mean, What's going to be the turning point for people to fully wake up and be like, okay, this isn't fucking working?
We have the largest government ever. They employ more people than the private sector. We have unions that lobby people to vote a certain way in certain states, depending on what they are and what their trades. And we have certain organizations that lobby a certain political ideologies just so that they can believe something else personally, because that's the way business is done in that state. You know, they always talk about rhinos, Republican in name only, but I know a guy who knows Democrats that actually lean more conservative Republican, but they just label themselves Democrat and they win. And they push like more Republican leaning things in their state. But there's dinos and rhinos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is like this red wave thing is there. I just don't know what we're expecting when we're in the middle of a civil war. We're in a soft civil war with the political ideologies that are supposed to run this country. And we have the largest lobbyist group ever in the history of humanity, which is the United States government and the military. And they're going to vote for more government every single time. So when people come out and there's 50-50 split with a political ideology in the state of America, like it's at the House level, it's at the governor level, it's at the Senate level. What more do you fucking need to see? That the ideologies that run our country are at a crossroads. There's no wave. That's the wave. It's two waves hitting themselves. And one has to win. This is communism versus fucking capitalism. Literally, if you were to just like look at some of their extreme beliefs on both sides. But like that's what it's like what happened with the Cold War, basically, except in our internal politics. And we're seeing it in the electoral. I was looking up the 1860 election was right before the Civil War and stuff. And if you look at the map, now granted, there was 4 parties back then, but if you were to look at the map, it looked divided. Lincoln only won 48% of the 46% of the vote or something, and then the rest was split among other people.
Now, I suspect it's probably been that way for a long time, though.
It has not. During the Civil War, Lincoln won expeditiously. He had a huge swing in electoral college. Reagan, I know, had a big swing in one of his elections. But
let me rechange what I said. Except for certain pockets in time. I'm sure there's periods in time, like Reagan for sure, Lincoln during the Civil War. For the most part, over 200-something years, it's probably been mostly split. I don't know if this is true or not. This is total speculation, just a guess. But I would guess that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, they even say with the Democrat and Republican elected presidents that it's almost like 1 for 1. When there's Democrat and they talk about the political pendulum. Thank you. And, you know, Overton window ties into that a little bit. But I personally believe that, like, the red wave we're talking about is smashing against the mainstream media every single fucking day on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Elon buying Twitter is the red wave. I don't know. We don't like we personally, the Tea Party didn't work. Gun control didn't work. Donald Trump didn't work. We're done. We're not, the people I know aren't going to work. And that is not buying your company's goods. That's fucking going to Twitter now. I heard a brilliant thing with Patrick Bet-David about how Twitter will be $1 trillion company within the next year. So buy Twitter stock. This is not financial advice, YouTube.
But is it like $1 trillion company?
Yeah, he believes in like 4 years at the most, but it will be worth $1 trillion. And he lays out like a very business friendly thing, business minded approach to it. But the point still remains is the red wave is Elon buying Twitter. It's Kanye West speaking out against the establishment. It's fucking Daily Wire getting millions of subscribers and releasing What is a Woman documentary. That's the red wave. We're not going to see it in politics. These people own the vending machines that I put my vote in. That takes me a fucking week to know the answer. We know the Powerball. The Bills can lose in one day. But on one day, I could go to work tomorrow knowing that the loss was worth it. But I don't get that in a democracy. And I'm said it's on the line. And I'm supposed to believe everybody. I would love to believe them. But this is like asking psychopaths to behave themselves. It's just not going to happen. The red wave is not going to be shown on any analytical. I don't know if it's split on the electoral. They skew every poll, every mainstream corporate media press, every fucking newspaper. All this shit on Netflix is all left leaning. and all they got is half of us. What wave do we need? We are the wave. This is literally the wave. Having the conversation is more powerful than electing anybody. I've said that since the beginning. I don't give a hell what anybody says because the truth sets you free. That isn't at voting. We are the red wave. Elon buying Twitter, Kanye speaking out, Rogan speaking his mind, all Alex Jones getting his tweet. Like these people, us, we're the wave. It's here. We're not going to see it on an analytic of their skewed political agendas and their mail-in ballot bullshit.
I agree with what you're saying, but at its core, the problem is if that wave doesn't translate to victories, then what is it doing? Maybe it sets it up. I mean, if you're thinking real long term, maybe this is a long wave, right? Maybe it's not a short pulse wave. Maybe this is a long pulse wave. Maybe this is something that 10, 15 years from now, it's a total takeover.
But we barely vote, and I generally think the young people sway Republican. They sway freedom, which is why they ban Tate and right-leaning people, is because the young people on the internet are right-leaning, are being influenced by right-leaning people necessarily. Like the young men in particular. Look at Tate. But we're the largest generation, and when I go around and I ask people that vote, they're not voting. Like the people I know are voting for Trump and all the presidential elections, sure, but you're not voting. We're not voting in our local elections. And I can sit there and I can preach those people all the time. But you know what? If their job comes to them and they say, you're going to vote Democrat this election, they're going to vote Democrat this election because they're a union boilermaker or electrician or pipe fitter or plumber. And that will never be outrooted. We're not going to outroot these people. Like way we have to crush them with the culture.
Well, I was just going to say that's something that ends up happening at a social level. And DeSantis has done a good job in Florida at doing this.
Yes, which has translated, David, back to your
correct.
point. But that only comes because
right, and Florida is red. Like Texas red. It's fucking red. It's incredible to see. That was an incredible wave. That came with strong leadership and results from somebody like Ron DeSantis. But we need way more governors like that. They're not there.
Yeah, and I think they've been sold a bill of goods. Once again, all these platforms, all these things are leaning left. They all lean left. Why would we not be surprised if a majority of people believe in fucking this and that and this and that? When all their things they're plugged into lean this ideology. If it was like that way on the right, or if this, transfer this to 1940s Germany, and what would you say it would be? You know what I mean? Like this is what we're talking about. Like they have engineered the people voting for their system to continually to grow. And I'm supposed to believe that the red wave is going to be some massive overtaking. The red wave is people going to the store and seeing people act crazy and say, you know what? I'm making a change. But the problem is some of these people with the red wave are moving to Florida, are moving to Texas. That's their red wave, is moving with their feet. It might be the company you buy, the state you work in, the job you work for, the school you take your kid to. Let's look at those numbers. I know it's not translating quite, David, and you're right. We need to focus on voting, considering the elections and all that and the legislation. But I'll tell you, like at the end of the day, like those true freedom leaning people are willing to, a lot of them are willing to leverage all of that to just say, fuck the government one last time. Like, I don't care what you pass as a state level. You're not changing the way I live my life. And that is going to meet the road somewhere. And I'd like to stop that with the voting process, obviously. But like we are the red. I know I'm just repeating myself, but we are the red wave when people leave, when they're voting with their dollars, when they're changing where their kids go to school, when they stop shopping at Walmart, where they buy their firearms from a local gun dealer, where, you know what I mean? Like they go through a credit union instead of a bank, when they buy through E-Trade instead of going through financial advisors, or they stop using Chase Bank to get their fucking car loans. When we stop going to Disney World and stop buying Disney products, that's the red wave. If we were to look at that,
the whole go woke, go broke thing. That's
Yeah, how many of these Zuckerberg lost trillions of dollars in his fucking billions? I'm sorry, rather YouTube. They lost billions of dollars in network as a self and a company. I know he'll get it back because the government will bail him out, but because he's too big to fail. Of course, we got him jacked into our spy grid. We use him to spy on everybody. He's too big to fail. So, like, I know he'll bounce back because he also has the money and the smarts, but that's the red wave. And I know it's not voting, but it's the most powerful form of voting is bankrupt these companies or stop using their products or change it where your kids go to school, buying a different car, buying a firearm, getting trained, reading the Constitution. Like literally reading a book nowadays is a revolutionary red wave against the establishment that they don't agree with.
A paper book, one that's actually written and printed.
Yes, I seen a thing about Kanye, and Joe Rogan was talking about how that Kanye interview with the Drink Champs that I referenced on this podcast many times because it doesn't even exist. As far as I know, I'm speaking conspiracy because it's not real, Ryan. There's no proof on YouTube. But if people were caught loading that up to their Google OneDrive or their certain online cloud service, that Google would delete it automatically. And they said it was violating their terms of service.
Oh, that's weird. Ryan, let me ask you this, because this could be a case of two red waves smacking each other in the face. Donald Trump recently came out and seemingly took some swipes at Ron DeSantis. I don't personally look too much into it. I think it's just Donald Trump eyeing up his next opponent and jumping in early. Maybe the timing of it wasn't great. Ron DeSantis didn't win an election yet. But do you think there's anything more to Trump seemingly getting a little aggressive towards Ron DeSantis, I guess would be the term. And where let me ask you this too. If you were to pick a side between the two, and I know 2024 is a long ways away, but let's just assume the presumptive two nominees end up being the presumptive two nominees, and it's Trump DeSantis. Where do you think you would stand on that ship?
A couple things here, David.
There's a lot of things.
This is I love this idea. I believe we've talked about this on the programs slightly.
A little bit.
Well, better now than ever. Personally, I speak for all 80 trillion Trump supporters worldwide, so I have to pull the lever on my boy Trump because I said I'd be the biggest Trump faggot that there'd ever be. So I'm pulling Trump, David, but here's the beautiful thing. Okay, a couple things. I'll start with the death of the GOP first. It's amazing to me. We know this happens. We've noticed it with legacy media.
You're even turning into Trump. Listen, look. We all know it. Everybody knows it. I was the first to know it, and I know it the best.
I said fake news. They turned it into disinformation. What more proof? It's called the Trump effect. These people in legacy media have grip to everything. Rush Limbaugh is a prime example, right? The way they badgered that guy when he was reporting better. We talked about that. He's the real chink in the armor of legacy media. Alex Jones, another one, which is why they're making an example out of him. And Donald Trump was the one that translated into a presidential election, which is why they made an example out of him. And I reference all those people in particular because the GOP, right? I don't trust these people. They are ingrained with corporations. This is what the Tea Party said a long time ago. And this is where they actually could gain some support from a lot of the liberal establishments at those times about big corporations taking over our politicians. Didn't translate because it was a corny, fake grassroots movement at the very federal level, but a lot of local change came of that. New York State, a couple things I believe happened with Russ Thompson and other things. I know I'm on a tangent, but it's important because the GOP is going through an evolution like anything else. The left is only getting more extreme, and the only thing they're getting involved into is a more extreme version of itself, which we have predicted. Everybody predicts, which turns into, you say fuck the government, you get a bullet in your head, right? Like that's where we're all.
I wouldn't know. I would never say such a thing, Ryan.
Onward. We know that's where that's evolving to. I mean, anybody that's an intellectual YouTube, you can fact check them. Anybody that believes that minus Sam Harris, because apparently even biologists can't understand free speech. But I don't care if he has a Dark Horse podcast or whatever. It's crazy. I might be confusing people. Anyway, it's all relevant because the GOP is it's not gonna eat itself the same. Because these people are invested. I don't believe Trump as much as I believe Mitch McConnell per se, but there's a reason they don't like Trump. That's because it's a changing in the guard, the death of all these old people. They're attacking Elon. They're attacking these figures. I don't necessarily believe Elon either. But there's a reason why the right is kind of like pivoting the way it is. And I think it's this Trump and DeSantis thing. And I think the most logical thing is, I actually sent David a clip of this week, is they run together. And this attack at themselves, this is what they do. I mean, this is politics. So it doesn't.
Yeah, if I'm Ron DeSantis, I don't know how personal I take it. I mean, I wouldn't take it personal at all, honestly. I mean, he went after everybody. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, I mean,
he literally accused Ted Cruz's dad of murdering JFK. Like,
yeah,
it's what Trump does. Like, you just deal with it.
I seen him. He was talking to Fidel. I was there personally.
I was there. I heard the whole conversation.
I wasn't a politician then. I couldn't get involved. I signed an NDA, unlike Stormy, who doesn't listen. No, and I'm not. This is armchair politics, and I barely know anything as a 30-something-year-old man in the world that lives a daily life. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like, what is the most likely? Why? Unless it's on purpose, David, which I know it is, YouTube. Why would you destroy your base? And I don't mean like the Republican base, but I mean the base. Like, you guys know what you've established. And if the GOP wants to survive an election, like, they're not going to let Trump and DeSantis divide. I've seen many polling things and things on my YouTube thing. I know this is personal propaganda, but they were asking about if you would pick Trump or DeSantis, and everybody picked DeSantis, which to me tells me that you pick DeSantis as your VP mate. This is the idea, is that DeSantis gets VP and then he can be president after.
Sure, then you essentially could, in theory, have up to 16 years of DeSantis.
Sounds like a fucking red wave, David.
I don't know if I could see that happening. I don't. Maybe those are two.
They would steal the elections.
Let's be clear. Trump and DeSantis are both leaders. They're both presidential. There's no VP in either of them. Trump's not going to be a VP to anybody, and I don't think DeSantis is going to be a VP to anybody either.
He will when he knows that he'll be the number one VP ever, best VP ever, and then after he's the best VP ever, he goes and beats president. Ryan, why wouldn't you get groomed?
Ryan, as somebody who introduced me to Andrew Tate, I'm amazed at how much you're throwing his teachings away.
It's not
Ron DeSantis is a man, and men chase status.
Yes,
he's not chasing vice president. He's going to be the top fucking G at White House University.
Dave, check it. Top Gs know when they're around better top Gs that they gotta kind of be at the small G.
Good point. He has said that in the past.
Yeah,
he said, if I was around fucking Elon Musk, I'd shut my mouth and listen to how to make money, right? Because Elon Musk has more money than him. It's the nature.
He's gonna get a phone call. DeSantis, look, I'm gonna say some shit. It's just all locker room. It's just like grabbing her by the pussy. We just need to bat through this. We're on the election campaign's rough. I know you know it. You just went through it. But look, I figured the Trump DeSantis brand worldwide. President of the whole galaxy.
So, you
already have the launch pad and Mar-a-Lago. We have everything we need. We get our boy Elon down to Florida. He owns my favorite company ever, Twitter.
Elon's stuck in Austin, touching tips with Joe Rogan. There's no Elon's not going to Florida.
Elon wants to build the tallest building ever, and it's going to be a thing that makes rockets. Like, talk about the largest prick you could have. It's going to be like, is it going to be like a little bit taller than the tallest building ever? It's going to be fucking substantially
At what point do we not give a shit how tall our buildings are?
When they touch space, David.
They listen. The one in Dubai basically touches Mars. It's fucking insane. It's unnecessary.
What we got to do is
Elon, you could just elevate building to Mars. No.
I wanted to mine the asteroids. Elon's the only one that believed in the Trump DeSantis presidency.
I feel like you dodged the question, right?
What question?
You did say specifically
I speak for all 80 trillion Trump supporters,
you're the king
David.
of the you're the king
All
of the Trump,
80 trillion.
and you're taking Trump.
Yeah, all mail-in Trump voters. I am voting for all 80 trillion Americans.
Do you think most people?
No, we're gonna get. What do we hear every fucking time? Oh, politics doesn't matter. I hear that for 3 years at a time, and then that fourth year is, oh well, it's the lesser of two evils. What? Now we're picking less evil, huh? I thought it didn't matter. Now I'm resorted with evil. If we only would have paid attention earlier, people.
I have an interesting theory about Ron DeSantis.
He's gay?
No, maybe. I don't know. I think
he definitely has girlfriends.
Ron DeSantis might seem more conservative than he is because the left is so far left. Every time he attacks one of their stupid fucking woke nonsense things, it makes DeSantis seem like this super conservative. I don't actually think he's all that conservative. I think he's a common sense Republican who's good with the economy and he hates the woke agenda. But I think
sounds like what Pence was supposed to be.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think, if you looked 25 years ago, everyone would be looking at Ron DeSantis like this fucking king conservative. Not that he's not. I mean, he's pro-life and he hates the woke agenda and he wants to cut taxes and have a good economy. I mean, what more could you want out of a candidate?
More guns.
Ryan. Yeah, well, my state, Pennsylvania. I'm going to nominate Pennsylvania for our first official Dunce of the Year nomination. Pennsylvania elected not only a functionally retarded man in John Fetterman.
Like actually retarded?
Oh, he might as well be.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard him speak, but it's rough. And I get it. He had a stroke and all this. I know. I feel bad for the guy.
All the more reason why you shouldn't be a politician.
Exactly. And I feel for the guy. I don't know him personally. I have this sense with Fetterman that he's not, and I'm not saying he couldn't be in the future now that he has the power, but I get the sense that he's not like an elitist prick. He seems like somebody who's just been duped by the system and bought it. And he believes in this leftist bullshit, but I don't think he's...
Especially Big Pharma.
Yeah, I don't think he's bought and paid for by Big Pharma or big corporations. Now, he might be in the future now that he actually has the power. I'm sure, it's coming his way.
I'm sure they got a vaccine to fix his stroke, David.
Oh, they'll fix it. Fix it any minute now. So Fetterman, which was bad enough. Now, part of that's the Republicans' faults because Dr. Oz was probably the dumbest choice you could have possibly made. First of all, the guy had to literally move to Pennsylvania just to run because he didn't live here. Secondly, he wasn't some conservative MAGA Republican. He was a fucking down the center bullshit. He's He's younger Mitch McConnell for Pennsylvania. I mean, Oz was a horrible choice. But not only did they elect Fetterman, they elected a literal dead guy. I believe his name was Tom DeLuca. Literally dead person. He was dead. He was dead when he was on the ballot. People knew he was dead. And they voted for him anyway. So there's going to be a special election to find out who won that seat. It doesn't just go. See
what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Do you remember when they got pissed off that Chris Collins won because he was going to go to jail for selling people short on stocks of one of his companies of a healthcare, which he actually did. He actually got caught doing it. So, but he won the election. People were upset and said it was a flaw in the system. And then here's Democrats voting for a guy that died.
Yeah, he's literally dead. So they're going to have a special election to fix that.
These people should be shot in the streets with rubber bullets.
But here's the thing that people aren't talking about. The person who won governor in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. He's not a far left woke guy. Now, I'm not saying he won't be persuaded to be now that he's in power. Same thing with Fetterman. But he's kind of like I wouldn't say pro-gun, but he's not necessarily anti-gun either. Kind of pro tough on crime, he's basically a centrist You know what I mean? So while I'm disappointed in Mastriano not winning, he was the Republican candidate, and he was kind of like a MAGA guy. I'm disappointed in him not winning. I think he would have won if Pennsylvania ran some far left Looney Tune instead of like a tough on crime centrist. I mean, this guy was basically Josh Shapiro. Kind of seems like Biden from the early '90s. So it's not like some guy who's walking around preaching to send taxpayer money to cut off kids' wangs. You know, he's nobody like that.
It's almost like a dino, David.
But Pennsylvania, very disappointing. I mean, they elect Fetterman and literally a dead guy. So impressive stuff, Pennsylvania. Hope to look forward to. When I moved to Pennsylvania, which wasn't that long ago, it was a purple state, right? That was what people referred to as a purple state. It's not purple; it's a blue state. Pennsylvania is effectively a blue state right now. Now, people in my area, of course, far away from Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, who had some voter issues, believe it or not.
No, Dave, they would never. They would. I'm sure they found out the exact night. There was no machines here locally in Amherst, in particular, which is the second largest city outside of the city of Buffalo in the area, that was having issues, or the Clarence one either.
Very, very similar to New York, though. There's a lot of suburban and rural areas that are red, and then when you get to the cities, that's where the elections are won, and that's just kind of how the state of Pennsylvania is. It's a blue state, though. There's no more purple state. I don't buy that anymore. I don't buy that Pennsylvania is it's not a purple state. It's a blue state, and that's what it is. I think New York. I'll declare this: New York is more of a purple state than Pennsylvania at this point.
I believe that.
Honestly, if New York City was like, I don't know, population of 4 million people, New York would be a red state.
Yeah, it's interesting with the politics, the way it shakes out. I find it crazy we still don't know who won. It just makes me, God forbid, YouTube and all the other FBI agents watching, God forbid that I question that I can't go to bed with an answer. It is bothersome to me. It doesn't make the government look any more competent. There's a fucking robot. Dave, do you remember the story about when the machine at Tops shortchanged me a couple cents and I went and got my money back?
Yeah.
So you have a machine there that counts the shit for the people already. We don't I don't understand, but I'm supposed to believe it.
Here's my big problem with it. And obviously there's so many problems with it. Here's the thing. When everybody was, even when I was 18, it was my first time voting. Everyone voted on election day, and everybody knew the answer that night.
Yes.
So there were more people voting the day of, and yet we still had an answer that day. Mm-hmm. And now there's people voting weeks before, and we still don't find out till a week after.
It's almost like all those
tell
extra...
me and then gaslight me and tell me that I'm a MAGA extremist because I question the elections.
But David, they consorted with Zuckerberg to quell misinformation.
They didn't consort. They forced.
They've. Well, so we basically got a
makes it sound
tip.
Like they were just. We were just imploring that private firms. No, they were forcing private platforms to fucking comply and do what they're told. And I'm sure there was a hefty penalty if such things were not done. And it would have been an off-the-books penalty, right? It wouldn't have been something... there wouldn't have been actual fines or actual things, but there would have been some... maybe, I don't know, maybe your Facebook gets hacked and... I don't know, maybe we don't do anything about it, right? Maybe we don't look into it.
Oh, that's maybe, weird. I'm experiencing fucking interruptions on my internet right now.
It's every time we talk about the elections.
I swear to God. I wish I could see you pricks spying on me so I could just look at you.
Go back. Hey, FBI, CIA, DHS, whoever the fuck's watching, go back to your kiddie porn. It's fine.
Dude, it's just, look. They stole the election. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. I know they did it. I'm tired of talking about it. You lie to me about masks. I won't believe anything to ever say anything of fucking again. I can get on here and say the red wave and all. That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, these people know exactly what they're doing. They know how many votes they need to make it look like that they only have a 50% majority in America and a president that can barely drive a fucking bicycle. Ben Shapiro says that it's Veep and not House of Cards. No, it's not. If they're calling Zuckerberg to censor information, that's not Veep, Ben Shapiro. That's House of Cards. That's what they do in House of Cards. They stole the election. I don't like the red wave. I told you.
Who's they, Ryan? The Russians?
Everybody. All those people, those, and then I'm gonna get told that I don't know nothing. Okay, well, let's, why would I believe them on X, Y, and Z? Oh my God, it's just unbelievable. Look, I know they did it. They know they did it. It's fine. I don't care anymore. The red wave is here. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it. It's here. It's you might fight your neighbor. I'm like, there was the Great Recession we heard about when I was growing up trying to make a living. You think it's gonna be nothing?
It's so much worse right now than the Great Recession.
Once in a lifetime pandemic, and there's supply chain issues. There's an employment crisis, but apparently we have record amount of fucking job growth. Oh, you mean all the jobs that you replaced with robots? You just offset them with $7 an hour employees? Look, learn the skill. I'm worried. I will know so much shit. I'm actually worried that I won't be employable because I don't know enough about computers.
I will teach you some things about computers. I don't know that much either, but if we need more information, we can talk to my father. He's a computer nerd.
We had maybe I look at my life super practical too because I'm grinding alone, but like electricity is great, but what if construction closes? What if there's no materials? Oh, the wire's too expensive, so all the jobs went under.
Brian, you're in the perfect field.
Yeah, I know. That's why you think I picked the field for no reason, Dave.
You're in the perfect field. They want electric cars. Somebody's got to get the power to them.
Yeah,
the wrong field would have been the oil and gas field. That'd be the bad field to get into.
Yeah, it's a real shame I got out of automotive,
AKA half of my state's economy.
Yeah.
Better vote for that functionally retarded guy who wants to get rid of oil and gas. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't believe this. I don't believe the voters are this dumb. I think everyday people are going. They're going to the store. They see how much milk and bread is. They're going to the gas pump. They see how much the gas is. They're employed by oil and gas in my state's, in this case. And then they know that their job's on the line. And yet we get Fetterman in office, and we get Josh Shapiro in office, and we get a dead guy in office, who of course was a Democrat. I didn't bring that point.
We get Kathy Hochul, who allowed your grandparents to get murdered by the guy in power and didn't say a fucking word.
Well, she was getting
sexually assault people while his brother was also helping him cover it up on the fucking evening news every night, because Cuomo was also winning an Emmy for his performance to the people of New York during a pandemic when he was getting billions of dollars in government handouts and anything he ever fucking wanted because some people went on a train. These people wager the Nuremberg laws like I'm supposed to forget that they even exist because all of history is just boring and you're not supposed to remember the dates. You're just supposed to remember that millions of people had died to get me here. These people stole the election, David, violate the Nuremberg rights. I'm sick and tired of talking about it.
Ryan, we
not really. I really enjoy talking about it because we prove it every week, but we're not going to see a red wave because they can steal the election any way that they would like, David.
Yeah. So, Ryan, we used to, on this program, do... Oh.
I just want to clarify so that my words cannot be taken out of context, even though they are going to be.
No, they can't.
And I mean this. Do I believe that they can alter the voting machines? Yes. Do I believe they have? Yes. Do I believe they can do it a lot all the time in particular certain systems? I don't know. Do I think they can sway people with the media? Yes. Do I think they can sway people with radio and Facebook and Tinder and YouTube? Yes. 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 So when I mean that they steal the elections, I mean all sources, David. I don't mean just that they can alter numbers in a magical voting
Right.
machine box.
Correct. And that's what I mean too when I talk about it. I don't necessarily believe, and they believe this too. That's what the whole Russian collusion theory was. It was 50 grand in Facebook
$5,000.
ads or whatever it was, and it swayed the whole election. Well, that means social media can sway elections. And then when I hear the Department of Homeland Security is working with the social media that you said Russians can sway elections with $50,000, can sway a whole election, right? And then the DHS just happens to be working with the same social media platforms. I'm a little suspicious that they're trying to sway elections. And you can't tell me that I'm crazy for it because you said the same shit in 2016 when Russia spent $50,000 in Facebook ads. $50K? That's nothing.
Here's the Obama. President-elect Trump thinks the election is the most secure election ever. It's the most secure election ever, America.
Fuck these people. Don't tell me I'm crazy and I'm doing conspiracy theories because I think that the Department of Homeland Security silencing speech on social media platforms is swaying elections. That's fucking obviously it works. They said it worked in 2016, so I don't even want to hear it. They have no high ground.
Sorry, David. It's just I heard all week this talk of a red wave, and I woke up and I looked, and the map's red. It was exactly what it was in 2016 when they said that the silent majority may prevail for Trump. They thought Trump was going to lose his ass off, and then the map looked exactly like that. They just happened to win in these little counties here and all those little fancy recounts here and there. Georgia's a runoff.
It's the classic. It's the classic expectation tactic, right? It's you either overpromise and underdeliver, or you do the opposite.
Which is exactly what they did.
Overpromised and underdelivered.
Yep, they're like it's going to be a red wave. So when Democrats, because what they're not talking about is how many seats Democrats lost. They're just losing. They're looking at how many seats Republicans should have gained. Oh, record few amount with how shitty everything is. Oh, that's weird. You're admitting that your economy is fucking terrible by default.
So your theory, Ryan, is that media set up the narrative of red wave. So then when Democrats lost seats, the storyline wasn't, why are Democrats losing seats? The storyline was, why was there no red wave?
Yes, because if you ask me, in my political opinion here, with the last 2 years of the Joe Biden presidency shaping out, he is essentially a lame duck president again.
I can see it.
It's exactly what they do. It's called Overton window, David. They do it with abortion. They're going to do it with like the actual polling data. You don't think – I know you know this, David, but you don't think that they didn't have this data before that it was going to be this thing? I think a lot of that red wave talk was if you ask people about the economy, right? And then they were able to isolate a lot of those studies or those polls, and it's like judged on
economy
the economy.
And crime were the
Yeah. So based on those studies, it should have been a red wave, but factor in the abortion, right? Which is what we came on this program and said that it's going to be, it's crazy that leaked, David, before it leaked to the media before they talked about it. And then the Supreme Court voted on it. And then it was going to be a topic of the midterm elections.
Of course.
I'm supposed to believe it's by accident. But yes, David, yes. Okay. You summarized very well. Thank you.
I feel like we've
beat this to dead horse.
Yeah. We've effectively covered the red wave or lack of red wave or the actual red wave, however you want to look at it, however your perception of it is. Democrats.
It's the red sponge, David. The red sponge.
Yeah, now we have nothing to do until 2024. We can't even talk about anything. We'll see you in 2024.
Yeah, the show shut down. David and I are long vacation. David Ryan, December 17. Hold on a second. I was going over the election. I know we kind of wrapped up election coverage already, but I'm going to bring it back into it. I got lost in post elections, and I just want to say this. I know why we use the maps. You know, this was referenced during the 2016 election with Trump when he won, that he made a big deal about the map. And they're like, it's just for historical purposes. It's not for modern. And now they're taking to such high self-esteem, especially on the media when they cover elections, because they can zoom in with all this data and have real-time numbers. So it's like real interactive, and it's exciting, and it's like virtual reality, augmented reality when it comes to voting, which makes it exciting. And social media, you partner with it. But my point of bringing it up is when I went back and I was looking over some of these elections of the past, the Civil War election, the election of 2016 and stuff, it was just very interesting. It's cool I know we're talking about the red wave and how I believe there is one and stuff, but it is cool to see the discourse they're talking about. Because I'm sure if you were to like line up those maps on a wall, butt them up next to each other, you could almost judge what president or what happened, or World War or Vietnam, or I don't know. It's kind of cool, pretty powerful. We ran long today, so I won't. I had a full breast coverage for you guys, but Dave and I, there's only so many hours in a day that we can provide content for you guys. So I will get to like some Bills and Decembertainment here. I'll do my little Decembertainment first here, and then we'll get to the Bills coverage before we get out of here. But a couple things: Patrick Bet-David, Lex Friedman, and Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan had on Matt Walsh. I did not watch that whole thing. I listened to some of it, seen some clips, and I seen Matt Walsh had a YouTube video about his review of going on Rogan. Patrick Bet-David had on Dinesh D'Souza, which he made Hillary's America, a bunch of other political documentaries. He's famously known for being arrested for donating to his friend's political campaign because of some stipulation, and
it was a technicality, but it was the law.
And then Ben Shapiro and Lex Friedman, I listened to all of that. Was fucking incredible. That's why they hate free speech. Prime example, Lex Friedman and Ben Shapiro is why they hate free speech. That's what they weren't debating. It's crazy because I always say conversation, right? I have the blue collar conversation, and then here's the guys at the highest levels of conversation having those conversations. It was wonderful to be a part of it.
We're just
idiots,
dumb nobodies.
Yeah, I have no pulse on the political narrative.
We have no intelligence like these two people.
I would wager that I could actually entertain pretty good conversations with both those guys. I may not be able to get to the capacity like I'm some kind of intellectual like them. I would never claim to be something like that, but I do love to talk and I do love to learn. And I think those things, and my imagination may be greater than both of theirs put together, which Einstein said is better than intelligence. So fuck everybody. But the point of it is it's like, I love podcasting because you're the fly on the wall to incredible and greatness, and conversations like that. It's not always easy to absorb because it's so dense, right? It's almost like you got to take some brain supplement from Joe Rogan to be able to apply some of this stuff to your life, but it doesn't lose its potency, it doesn't lose the value. And not only do I love Ben Shapiro, Lex is kind of dry, but to hear
he's extremely dry.
Yeah, to hear his super dryness with Ben Shapiro's super dorky, straightforward, almost autistic fucking delivery of just wrecking people. I love, no shade to Ben Shapiro. I love the guy. Just making fun of him a little. But it's just great. It's great to be a fly on the wall for amazing people. And I encourage everybody to check it out. It was obviously based in politics. I'm not going to rip their stuff apart because that's why they have the fucking conversation, so that we don't have to add commentary. Except, that's real news. That's what it used to be, journalism. Obviously, we don't get that. Dave and I do our best to try to summarize it for you guys. And I think we'll summarize the Bills game. Patrick Bet-David. I told you guys last week to keep an eye on him, but god damn it, that guy's so awesome. Keep an eye on this guy. I'm telling you, invest in Twitter. I'm buying Twitter stock. And keep an eye on Patrick Bet-David. I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you guys. And then Matt Walsh was on JRE. That was pretty okay. And then David, Bills game.
Yeah. All right. Couple things. First of all, before we get to Bills game, NFL takes. We had talked about Tom Brady, and I said, everyone, stop shitting on Tom Brady. First of all, he hasn't been that bad. So even though as a leader he will take full responsibility for the losses, They have not really been his fault. Tom Brady's back. In essence, he never really went anywhere. The team's still good. They're in a bad division. We said they're still going to win the division. They're still going to go to the playoffs, and they might even win a game or two. That's exactly what's happening. The Bucs cleaning house, taking first place in the division, which is rightfully theirs. Tom Brady is not going anywhere. He doesn't give a shit about Giselle. He can find 75 more Giselles in about 32 seconds. He doesn't care.
And they're 20 years younger.
You better believe it. If he could find Giselle whenever he found her 15 years ago, you better believe he can find better Giselles now.
He's running trains through thoughts on Instagram right now.
So when everyone was giving up on Tom Brady, you were idiots.
Yeah, we never did.
No. First of all, fuck Tom Brady. All right, I'll say it. But he's the greatest of all time, and I respect the hell out of him as a player. Secondly, Bills game.
Golden dick.
Bills game. Opposite take. I love Josh Allen, unlike Tom Brady, who I hate. I love Josh Allen. But Josh Allen has pissed away 2 games that the Bills could have easily won. And if the Packers were worth a fuck, he would have pissed that game away too. Josh Allen is currently, and I'm not saying he won't, but he's currently creating his own reasons why he's not going to be MVP. The award was rightfully his when the season started. All he had to do was just go be Josh Allen for 3/4 of the season.
It's amazing to watch a guy who can only be defeated by himself.
That's an interesting take, but it's 100% true.
That's what Nate. Tell me, what did he beat? Everybody. He beat Lamar, Holmes, the Rams, the Titans. They crushed Aaron Rodgers. They had these games. All the games they lost, they could have won. It was those dumb plays of I kind of when he threw that interception at the end of the game in overtime, that reminded me of Patrick Mahomes when the Bills beat him when he had that 4th down. Pat Holmes did the same shit. It was just a simple, trying to make something out of nothing. Your abilities. Josh Allen had incredible 3rd downs earlier in the drive, so why wouldn't you gun it in there? Because you're fucking awesome. I get it, dude. But
and maybe listen, maybe that's a throw he can make in his sleep when he's healthy, and maybe his elbow had something to do with it. I don't know. I don't want to hear the excuses.
Well, how can you be? You can't be MVP material if you didn't. Pat Mahomes wins that game.
Yes.
So
yes, and that's the difference.
Yeah, and it sucks. It sucks because we do.
But it's not just the interception at the end of the game. It's the interception of the same person in the end zone when you're up 20. Were they up at the point 27-14 or something at that point, or 27-17? They're driving. They're in the end zone. He throws a pick. Fuck. That's a killer, man. Even if you get the 3 points there, it's killer. Kills you. When you're in your own end zone, your defense just had that fucking tremendous 4th and a foot stop at the end zone. Kirk Cousins goes to sneak it in, and no, not happening. And you fucking fumble the ball in your own end zone on a simple QB sneak. I'm not here to say the QB sneak is the right or the wrong call in that situation. I understand the logic behind it. It's a lot of analytics. It's, you have more chance of that kind of play happening the more people touch the ball. So, for example, a handoff. Now you have the center quarterback exchange, but then you also have the exchange with the quarterback to the running back. It's multiple. It's just, statistics. The more people who are exchanging the ball, the more chance there is of a fumble. Plus you're 3 yards back when you're handing it off. Maybe they get a safety, whatever. I get it. I kind of get the quarterback sneak. I don't really love it. I would have rather seen a handoff, but I'm not going to shit the play call. But you have to get the exchange down, for fuck's sake. It's not a backup center. It's your center you've been dealing with. You have to hold the ball and fall fucking forward while Gabe Davis uses his superhuman strength to fucking yeet you across the line.
Yeah, and then you kneel it out.
You either do that or you probably don't kneel it out because you're not going to have.
I know, but the only reason they didn't really have the option to kneel it is because they were so close to the end zone.
Right.
So they had to drive forward.
Right.
If they had 2 first downs is what we're talking.
Right, but okay. So at that point, there's 40 seconds left or whatever. 50 seconds. I don't remember the exact timeline, but there's not a lot of time left. The whole point of that exchange was to get out of your own end zone because you can't take a knee because you're in your own end zone, right? But as soon as you maintain that possession and you drive forward, Minnesota doesn't have enough timeouts to stop. They don't have enough time. So all you literally have to do is get the exchange right and fall on your face. And then you know what? You might have to do it one more time, and you're probably going to do a QB sneak again because you're still not going to be far enough to take a snap and take a knee because you have to take a step back and knee it, and it's a whole thing. They wouldn't have enough space on a QB sneak unless Josh Allen got like 3 yards on a sneak somehow. So the plan was going to be QB sneak and then probably QB sneak again. And maybe one more time. I don't remember the clock and how it would have worked with timeouts and stuff. But the point is Josh Allen pissed that game away. He pissed the Jets game away, and he would have pissed the Packers game away if the Packers weren't absolutely terrible. And quite frankly, the Miami game he kind of pissed away.
Well, it's so
that's 4 really bad games that resulted in that team losing. To your point, the only person that can beat Josh Allen is Josh Allen.
Literally.
And Josh Allen, when he's great, when he's on his game, is easily the best quarterback in the league. Easily. When he's on his best, he is light years ahead of Patrick Mahomes, which is insane. But the thing is with Patrick Mahomes is he rarely shits a game away.
Yeah, Josh Allen's girlfriend has got to be sleeping with somebody else.
I like Ryan's theory is that there's domestic issues.
Yeah, what else? If you got problems at home, you can't perform at work. Guy just fucking shit on everybody in the fucking NFL for 6 straight games. The Dolphins, we were like, it's a fluke. The weather.
Which I would have tolerated that excuse had these other 3 games not existed. I'd been like, all right, whatever. Yeah, every quarterback's entitled to a bad game. Patrick Mahomes a week ago, threw the game away. Whatever, it happens to all the greats. But now we have 4 out of what are we at? 9 games. We have 4. So he's got one more great game than he has bad games.
I'm just saying, if they have a male pool boy or any male attendants at their house, I would seriously look into that. Fuck, even females. Josh Allen, just get robots, bro. I'll help you hook them up.
Whatever you want to call it. You want to call it a hot take, a bad take. Tom Brady is currently more MVP worthy than Josh Allen. Currently. I'm not saying things can't change. I'm not saying Josh Allen doesn't just go rattle off the rest of the season and just fucking smash people's faces into the ground. But as of right now, that's what it is.
That's really what's got to happen, isn't it, David? Like, he'd have to win 9 straight games to close the season out.
Right. And do it in the fashion that they won their first 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, where they were 70 to nothing.
Lighting people up.
Beating the bricks off people. Which they did. It was 27-10 at one point in that game.
Yes.
Going to second game, you get the ball back after you stop them, after they get the ball back at the start of the second half. And then even at the end of the game, you go down and kick the field goal in 40 seconds, 70 yards in 40 seconds. Incredible. Only 3 quarterbacks in all of NFL can do that.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and
Brady,
yeah.
I guess
here's the other thing
too. If you give,
if you give him Justin Jefferson, who's just a freak of a human. I mean, good Lord, that guy is.
It's amazing they were comparing him and Diggs all game because of the trade that eventually secured Minnesota to get it. It's very funny.
That was a rare no-lose trade.
Yeah, it's very.
Here's the other uncomfortable thing people in Buffalo don't want to talk about.
The Josh offensive line is trash.
Josh Allen's current or former offensive coordinator, the Bills coordinator, Brian Daboll, is currently 7-2, I believe, as a head coach for the Giants. And the Giants were an absolute train wreck when he took over. And without very much changes to the roster, quite frankly, they are 7-2 under Daboll.
What's that tell you?
Maybe Daboll had a lot to do with it. Because I got to tell you, so far this season, and I'm not saying things can't change, so far Allen has kind of taken a dip backwards.
And you blame the play calling?
Not necessarily. I'm just saying maybe it's he had Brian Daboll for a couple of years, 3 years, however long it was. Maybe it just takes a while to kind of get everybody to gel together, and then you got injuries and things like that. It could be Brian Daboll is just way way better as a coach than Ken Dorsey. I'm not saying that's necessarily the case. Or it's just taking a while for everybody to kind of gel together. Not sure, but something's going on. Maybe it is just the pool boy at Josh Allen's house. I don't know. I'm not totally ruling that out.
If I had to put my money, if I had to
Josh Allen
bet,
is sleeping with Giselle.
If I had to bet, I would bet that Josh Allen's girlfriend has stopped putting out.
Well, then somebody else. Move on. Next. Half the world is what you're looking for. Next. See ya. Bye.
But Dave, it's hard for guys. They've been together since high school or college or something. It's a long time for that
Next.
guy.
There's a line. Next.
David, we've been there.
Take a ticket. Next. Number 36.
I know. That guy is like supreme. That's why I never get dates on Tinder, is that guy. I'm kidding. I get dates on Tinder.
The only reason.
You had a good relationship with your dad? Yeah, he was great till he got shot in the head.
Yep. Swipe whatever direction is yes.
Both ways.
I don't know how it works. I just know you swipe one direction for yes and one for no.
You swipe right if you like him.
Is it right for good?
Yeah.
So right's like...
No, okay, swipe left. Swipe left.
See, I thought so. I thought right was like, oh, fuck that person. And left was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, swipe right. See, look at the connotation about voting right, Dave. The negative.
It's all a ploy. It's deep state cover.
It's not.
It's Department of Homeland Security.
Reptilians are taking over. If you unspin the Tinder sign, it makes the DHS logo. Dave Ryan, December 17th, 73.
We're out. Fuck.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you if you made it to the end. I appreciate you guys the most. You know that, as always. David, thank you for your time, as always. I catch you guys Monday, 7 Eastern. Monday, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. Most importantly, Rumble, the free speech alternative to all these corporate platforms. David, it's been great. It's been real. It's been fun. Poor Bills. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Brian.
Peace, bro.
Bang, bang, bang.